We are talking about cloud solutions. We really need to understand the various levels of cloud solutions offerings. I reference it as X as a service, and today almost anything is configured as a service. If you're listening to this course today, we have something now called learning as a service as well. So it's really become a structured way of referencing to solutions that are being stored in a public cloud offering. So software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. Those three types of offerings are available with Microsoft Azure. And the difference between them is essentially how much of it do yourself manage and store yourself. So I'm actually going to work my way up and down this list, first starting with infrastructure as a service. Microsoft Azure provides infrastructure as a service in the form of the actual hardware. So the hardware and the networking pieces where you still store your data and you will store your virtual machines will be hosted by Microsoft Azure. Well, that's an infrastructure support or an infrastructure service that is being provided. Microsoft Azure also provides platform as a service. Now, the platform as a service are the actual web services and web servers that will be running in Azure, on which you can deploy your applications. So let's say that you have a custom application that you want to deploy and you don't want to manage a virtual machine, you don't want to manage a web server. Well, Microsoft Azure will supply to you that platform, that web server, onto which you will be able to apply your web application. Software as a service. Now software as a service goes another level where the infrastructure, the platform, and the software are all hosted into a cloud-based offering. Now the end result of that is an actual service, a software application that is being consumed by users. A great example of that is Office 365, and it's an example of a software as a service because all it is that the user consumes and sees as visual is the software, the end application, and it consumes that end application not with no access and no configuration and no visibility into the back end infrastructure that's managing the software. So depending on which offerings you choose, you will pay different types of subscription levels and different types of service plans to have access to different functionalities of each offering. Now again, Microsoft Azure provides all three of those offerings and it provides them in based of different services. As we move along and cloud computing becomes more mature as a solution, the distinctions in the lines between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS softwares, platforms, and infrastructure, those lines become a little bit blurred. And we see that the services that are being offered are more important than the actual type of cloud offering. So the four type of categories of offerings that are being provided by Azure services actually across over between platform, infrastructure, and software. So one of the major services offering by Azure is data storage services. So that is all of your blob storage, all of your data and databases, all of your data and databases that are being stored in Azure. Those are all managed as data storage services. So you can actually do that, control the application and the availability of the data storage, the backup, and many other functionalities for data storage. Many other functions for the storage as well. We have compute services. Now compute services are both platform as a service and software as a service, in the sense that compute services is the services that manage all the virtual web that you will be running, as well as it will be also the web services onto which you can store applications. Compute service perform a lot of the compute activities that run in Azure. Then we've got our networking services, and the networking services, the connection services between your on-premises users or your users stored all over, and how they access the resources that are being stored in Azure. And some of them can be done through encrypted tunnels such as VPNs, and some of them can be done from direct remote desktop connections. There is various ways of accessing our data that is being stored in Azure, and we configure those through network services, and that accessibility and that configurability of networking is provided through network services. Application services as well is offered in Azure, which is essentially all of the applications that are hosted in Azure that provide functionalities for us. A main example of that is Active Directory. Active Directory's database provides a database of users and authentic services through Azure, so that if you have an application that is being stored in Azure and you want to provide authentication services to that application, you can use Active Directory as an application service itself. So it's essentially an application servicing another application, both of which being stored in Azure. Some of those applications are provided natively by Azure. Other applications you can upload to Azure and have them hosted yourself by using the platform of the infrastructure of Azure. So whether you're using native services, whether you're uploading your services over to Azure, you can have them communicate and you can have them interact to provide a complete solution for all of your user population and essentially all of the needs of your organization.